Inviting Conversations is Wade Meyer. He's brought along Tiffany Odutoye, owner of Talk Social Networking. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is a big topic, big buzz, social networking. Businesses that aren't doing it feel like they should be doing it. Businesses that are doing it are finding a lot of success with it.
And Tiffany has written a book called Social Media, What Do I Do? And so after reading this book, thought Tiffany would be a great person to bring on to give us some insight into social media's do's and don'ts. So thank you, Tiffany, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You know, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, there's so many. I'm not even naming, the majority of them. Those are the big ones. Where do you start with all this if you're a company out there and you're just confused? A lot of people, especially if they're older, maybe owners of the company, they don't really know about this stuff. It's really kind of a younger generation thing.
Well, we're seeing, just to speak to that, the answer to that question, number one, the largest demographic growing in social networks are women ages 45 and 55 and up. So we do a workshop called, Oh No, My Grandmother's on Facebook.
Oh.
So the older demographic is sort of migrating to some of these more social tools.
Oh, good.
So where does a business owner start? You mentioned them, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. Those are the big three players right now. Now, in terms of innovation, we're going to see this on sort of a curve. And we're going to see social media and social networks changing a little bit. People are going to start migrating to more niche social networks. So my recommendation is start with a plan before you get started. If you don't have time to devote to the big three as well as sort of niche social networks, figure out which one might give you the biggest bang for the buck. And I would recommend, if you're a business owner, LinkedIn would be the place to start.
Are there tools out there that can help me just to kind of get started? You said do some research. Well, where do I find that?
There are so many free resources. First, I would say spend some time in those online webinars that are free from some of your heavy hitters, Chris Brogan, Mari Smith. You can connect with me locally, Nate Riggs. These are the folks that are on the ground, have their ear to the ground in your local area. They can sort of give you some free tools and resources. Of course, my book, which we mentioned earlier, that's a step-by-step, easy, dumbed-down how to get me started in social networking with case studies and sort of how to make the shift from traditional marketing to sort of where we are today on the web. So start there with a little bit of research. And if you need to get a consultant to help you do some strategy and action planning, I say it's worth the free consult and maybe 1 or 2 hours of sort of consulting to get a roadmap, and that'll chart you to success if you're a business owner.
We've all seen the entries that I think we all go, on Facebook, where somebody says maybe a little too much or something that's pretty negative. If I was their boss, I'd say, I don't really like that, like, oh, I have to work on Friday, or...
Well, we just had something happen this week, to your point, Eve. We heard the woman lost her job, school teacher, because she was in Europe and had those pictures of her vacation, a teacher in a bathing suit, and she lost her job, was asked to resign because of that. So I think we have to be very careful that just because it's social, that we don't get too relaxed sort of with our persona and having sort of boundaries and standards with the way we interact on the web. I think that's a tip I would give.
And that stuff is on there forever.
Yes.
So if somebody's interviewing for a job, you do a quick search, you can find, what they did 2 years ago.
And one of the workshops we teach, we have this graphic, and there are 3 people in a food line. One of them has YouTube, one of them has Facebook, and one of them just has sort of like a brown bag. And the whole essence of that cartoon is each of them lost their job because of something they posted way back when. One of them was in college, and they lost their job because of that. So we have to be careful, sort of not just what we're putting into our networks, but who we're allowing in our networks. When we begin to sort of merge business with personal, Facebook in particular, maybe we started it and we allowed our children, our old college friends to be a part of our network. But we sort of have to do some monitoring of our personal brand and who's there, because that can tarnish who we're, posturing ourselves or positioning ourselves to be today.
If we're going to get in this game of social networking, how much time do I need to think about investing in this if it's really going to be a good effort to try to make this a go for my company and do a good marketing campaign?
That's the #1 question I think I'm asked as a practitioner. And my answer is simply this. I believe it is the amount of time that you have available. So I use the philosophy, do the most with what you have. So for example, if you are a business owner and you have 15 minutes a day, then we will teach you how to make those 15 minutes count. Remembering more isn't always more with social media. Sometimes it's just more, and you don't get the same results. Sometimes less can be more if you're compelling, consistent, and of course, authentic and very targeted in your activity. So you can do this in 15 minutes or less a day.
Okay, and there's a big debate about whether companies should be outsourcing this sort of thing. It's such a heart and soul of a company. Is that something I want to outsource, or do I want to keep an employee in the company doing?
I think that's a conversation that you take with anything you're going to outsource in your company. Sort of who's the best fit for you, who has the past track record, experience, understands your brand, and a good connection with you. I don't say outsource yourself. You outsource an aspect of it that you don't like to do or cannot do, like research. There's a simple tool, Google Reader and Google Alerts, that someone that you hire can set up for you. That's something you don't have to do. They're getting the research. They can automate the things that can be automated, but you should maintain the conversation with your community at a very personal and authentic way.
Great tips. Tiffany Odutoye, thanks for joining us with Talk Social Networking, and Wade Meyer, as usual, with Inviting Conversations. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
For more on social networking tips, head to talksocialnetworking.com. And to join in on the conversation, go to invitingconversations.com. Next on Ohio & Company, furthering your teaching career. We'll get you on the